Hey guys, today we're gonna make our own very unique minimal house drum loop from a bunch of Splice drum loops. So basically what we're gonna do is actually cut out the bits in the Splice drum loops that we like and combine it to make our own drum loop. So let's dive into it. So we go to Splice and find some drum loops that we like, but I'm just gonna cut out this bit because you don't want to see me spend 15-20 minutes just browsing through a bunch of drum loops. So I'm just gonna cut to the part where I actually found them and we can start going into the tutorial. So let's dive into it. So I found some drums on Splice, and what I'm going to start with is the drum. So I found this drum loop. So what I did was that I used like a 4/4 beat, but then I added like an extra kick here on offbeat and then like on this 16th note, so it sounds like this. So you get like some kind of swing. And next I want to clap, so I found this loop. And so what I did extra was that I faded out some of the clap reverb here, but then I expanded it a little bit on the second clap hit. So each time the clap hits, there is like some kind of variation to the clap. Just a really, really small difference, but it all adds up in the total picture. Oh, so what I forgot about like the last clip was to actually assign both the kick drum and the clap to the mixer track. So I've done that. And what you usually see people doing is actually assign the kick drum to the drum bus. But I don't want to do that because I find that it's a bit, it loses some of the punch when you apply some drum compression on it, like some bus compression. So I actually want to separate it from the drum bus and then have it sent to a low-end bus. So all of my low-end elements as the bass, maybe some of the toms, and then the kick drum is routed to the same bus, and then I can apply some EQing and some compression for those bits alone. So I think that gives you a tighter low end. So moving on, I want to add some top end noise. So I think like some kind of hi-hat or something. So I think like just... Okay, I said hi-hat, but let's just save this as some kind of snare rim shot-ish thing here. So what I'm gonna do is just make this unique and then have it to put to generic. I'm gonna put this clip to generic as well. So I can have this clip here. So it could be used as like... So just like some kind of shuffly thing. So I found this pattern. And then of course we're gonna name it. And then assign it to the mixer track, and then assign it to the drum bus. And then we're gonna find some hi-hat information, and I think we can just pick out this part. Then trim it so it fits. And then it's way too loud, so just pull down the volume. Yeah, and then make it offbeat. So you get a pattern like this. Just the standard house thing. I'm gonna color code it because I like to be organized. And then I removed like the last hit here on each transition, so you get like some kind of... So there is like some kind of change when you enter the next part of the beat. And now we want to continue on finding some more top end information, and I found this loop. So what I want to do is actually use this bit here, and then maybe like this bit here, and also this bit here. Could also use this bit. Then remove everything else that I don't need, and then try to come up with a pattern. This could actually work, and then turn down the volume a little bit. So I'm trying to pull the parts a little bit off grid, so it gets like a more kind of shuffly, groovy vibe. Okay, now I want to find some kind of tom noise, and in this loop there is actually some kind of really, really awesome tom. So we want to cut out these bits, but before we do that, we want to sync it to the tempo. Just make sure everything is synced, and it's not. And then we're going to cut out the bits that we want to play around with. So this one and this one, and remove the rest. And then I want to find a nice pattern. So let's try this. This is actually really cool. So I come up with this pattern for the toms. And then, as I mentioned before, I want to assign the toms to the mixer track, but not to the drum boss. I want to assign them to the low end boss instead. And in the end of the tutorial, I'll go through some processing of the bosses. Okay, so we added this top loop here. Together it sounds like this. And this is actually just a longer splice loop. And then again, I think it fits the track really well at a more lower volume, but just to fill up some of the frequencies in the top range that are actually missing from just the offbeat hi-hat and the other hi-hats. So don't be afraid of using entire loops from Splice, but as long as you combine them with some of your other drum sounds, it's gonna sound like one big thing instead of the sample just being by itself. And then the next thing that I added was these percussive hits. And it's from this piece. And I think the more like spooky, spacey kind of percussion thing was really nice. So I just isolated those, cut them out, and then rearranged them into this pattern. And it sounds incomplete with the rest of the things. It sounds like this. So I'm on a hunt for more percussive elements, and I found this loop. So there is this offbeat kind of thing. I think it's this. I think like you can take out this bit here. So you have this piece. Okay, I have no idea what you call this sound. If you have an idea, please put it down in the comment below, because I really want to know what you call this sound. So in total, the loop sounds like this. I think we're really close at having something almost done. So I think I'll just look for some more bits and pieces just to add something to the stereo image. And then I think we're ready to actually process the entire drum bus. And I found like this loop. I think there are something really interesting in it. And I think you can just cut up some of the bits. Just rearrange them. I think I'm gonna do like this and then rearrange them. So I came up with this pattern. Really weird, but I think it works. So I actually think that the offbeat hi-hat misses a little bit of texture. So I found this loop here. So a really standard house loop, but I think if we just combine it with the offbeat hi-hat that we already have and then put the volume a little bit low in the mix, I think it's gonna add something really cool. So it sounds like this. So it gives the hi-hat a little bit more bounce and groove to it. And of course, I'm gonna assign it to the mix track. So the last thing I'm gonna add to this drum loop is actually not some drum elements, it's actually some kind of Foley atmospheric stuff. So this is a crowd cheering. So together with the drum track. So I'm just gonna put the volume really low. This is just a way to add something more unique to your drum loop. So for me, I think this really fills up more of the frequency range, and it adds some kind of vibe to it that I really like. So I think this is the last piece that we're going to add to our drum loop. Of course, you can add a lot of more, but I think for the sake of this tutorial not being too long, I think we should jump into how I process my drums for a more like tighter sound. So now the drum loop is ready, and I will take you through my drum bus processing. So what I start with is a bus compression. So the loop sounds like this. And I just have it on some really default settings just to glue stuff together. And I know that there is a lot of other type of plugins that emulates this type of compressor. So just use them. Then the next thing is I use this plugin called Passive EQ. And what it does, it just emphasizes some of the high end. You can see here there is like a shelf here. So I boost a little bit. And then I remove some of the low frequencies because we don't need them, because I have a kick drum and also a tom playing. And then I boost a little bit around the 3K area just to make the clap and also the hi-hat pop a little bit more. Yeah, and then the next thing is this plugin by Waves. It's a tape emulator, I believe, tape machine, I think it's called. And what it does for me is it just adds some warmth to the drum bus. And I know these are really expensive plugins, but sometimes some of the bigger companies have huge discounts or sales, and I think it's worth investing in some good plugins for your drum processing and basically all of your other processing on buses. And this is really great for other types of buses. I use them for instrument buses and basically all of my buses. So yeah, it's a great plugin. And then the next thing is this Ozone 9 imager. And I believe there is a free version of this plugin, but again with fewer options, but I think you can manage with the free one as well. So what I do here is actually I split it up into bands. So what this means is that I can control each frequency area in terms of if I want it to sound more stereo or more mono. And what I want to do is actually control the lower end of the frequency and actually make it completely mono. And then the next part, I think it's the 230 area up to 1K, I want to make it less stereo because I want the track to be really good in mono. And if you take a listen, we can actually try to put it in mono and stereo. You have to either be sitting in front of some monitors or on your headphones to actually hear the difference. So what I'm doing here is I'm boosting in the 1.2K area up to around 9K area. And then I'm also boosting the super highs. So again, it's just opening up the drum sounds a little bit more. And then the last thing I actually do is, oh, sorry, I have to rearrange this. So it actually should be before the limiter. So this one is just an EQ. And what it does is it actually just removes some of the low frequencies. And then I'm also doing like a dip here around the almost 400 hertz area. And this is because sometimes it can be a bit muddy down here. So, and this is just a matter of like trying to see what fits the rest of your track. So always play together with other parts of your track. So the bass, some of the musical instruments, maybe a vocal and so on. And then the last thing is a limiter. And I'm not doing anything. So this is just to catch some of the transients that might be peaking over 0 decibel. So as you can see, it's actually cutting a little bit here. So, and the last thing we can go through is just a low end bus, and I'm not doing anything crazy here because both the kick drum and the toms are sounding nice on their own, and together they actually sound really well because they were not overlapping. So what I'm doing is also just applying some EQ and then making a little bit of shelving here in the top end, just to make a little bit more room for the hi-hats and stuff, and the high end of the drums. So yeah, this is actually what I do for processing. And if we try to play it back with and without the effects, and you can hear the difference. So let's focus on the drum bus. So if you can tell the difference, it's actually make the drums a little bit more crispier, I think, and also like a little bit more like top end of the drums. So that's it. So I hope you liked the video, and if you did, it will mean the world to me if you will hit that subscribe button. I'm really trying to up my YouTube game again, so I want to make a lot of these tutorials for you guys in the future. And if you want me to cover anything, just let me know in the comment section down below. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care and have fun making music.